What's up, guys? Mecha Ish here, and from the DC Comics Multiverse, Batman The Dark Knight Returns 30th Anniversary Edition, we got Superman. Let's do it. Welcome back to another action figure video review, and I got for you guys the DC Comics Multiverse Superman celebrating 30 years of the epic story arc The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. This is so amazing to finally have it in hand. If you guys remember, a few years back, we got an awesome Batman action figure in the 7-inch scale, which had this same body mold, which is reusing the Masters of the Universe Classics book. But it was in the Batman Unlimited line, and it was based off this Frank Miller graphic novel, The Dark Knight Returns. And we have been yearning, I have been yearning, if you're anything like me, you have been waiting for this Superman to finally come and match the awesomeness of that other Batman figure. And here we have Superman. Now, that's enough about that. Let's talk about this window box packaging. So it is the standard window box packaging that these DC Comics Multiverse figures are using. You can see the logo up top. A great view of Superman in the window box. And you can see the only accessory he has is that kryptonite arrow. And we see Batman The Dark Knight Returns. We have an image artwork there of Superman as he appears in that Frank Miller story arc. We got Batman The Dark Knight Returns Superman, and we got 30th Anniversary Edition. And I love the gold banner there, that gold. And this is engraved. The 30th Anniversary Edition is engraved in that gold. And that feels so nice, and it looks so nice. Turn it to the side, we have the same artwork image from the graphic novel. And towards the back, we have all the figures in this wave. Check out my review on the Batman action figure. We got Superman here, and we have Son of Batman, who is coming up. Guys, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. And we have 30th Anniversary Batman The Dark Knight Returns. And a great look at the action figure, all posed up with the nice lighting and all that good stuff. All right, let's take the Superman out of the box and let's see what he is all about. Here we have Superman, finally, from the epic graphic novel by Frank Miller. You guys, if you're anything like me, you have been waiting on this Superman for many years, ever since that Batman Unlimited line came out with that black and gray Batman from the same story arc. I have been waiting, I'm sure many of you have been waiting for a Superman to match all that awesomeness that was Batman, and here we have him. I'm very excited to have this in hand finally. Oh my goodness. And you can see these are reuse of the Masters of the Universe Classics mold. They stand at 7 inches tall, but they are wider and beefier action figures. A lot more plastic goes into these figures than your standard 6-inch. But I'm not complaining, because if you remember how Superman and Batman appeared in the graphic novel, they were bigger characters. It wasn't like your current Batman. Batman Bruce Wayne was a lot bigger. He was just pretty much weight training. All those years he retired from fighting crime, and he was huge, and as was Superman, of course. And this, to me, this is my ultimate Superman, because Superman should always be big and buff like this, in my opinion. But I think the 7-inch scale, even though you line them up with your 6-inch figures, they're going to be a little out of place in terms of height. In terms of width and mass, it is an excellent, great likeness to how they appear in the graphic novel. Now let's get more up close and personal with this Superman from The Dark Knight Returns. Before I get into Superman here, let's talk about the arrow that comes with Superman. So you can see here, let me get it in focus for you guys. He is rocking the kryptonite arrow that was used in the graphic novel. So you can see it's your standard arrow. The flights are nicely painted. You got a silver plastic, and then you have green painted tip, which is representing the kryptonite used to weaken Superman. But we're going to put that away. I'll make sure I save it and try not to lose it. But let's talk about Superman here. Let's take a look at the head sculpt, and more importantly, his hair sculpt. I mean, this is Superman, right? He's always rocking the Superman curl, and I love it. I'm a huge fan of Superman's hairstyle, as you guys can probably figure out from my videos. But I love that S, and you can see it's actually an S. The Superman curl is actually shaped like an S, and this is so awesome that they pretty much recreated his look in the graphic novel into this action figure form so perfectly. I really love it, because he looked just like that in the graphic novel. I love the sculpted lines. You got the curls going over to the side. Check that out. I wonder if he uses as much gel as I do. Probably not. This is Superman. He probably just uses his freeze breath and keeps it in place. But wow, that hair sculpt is amazing. I love it. And you can see, talking about his head sculpt here, you can see he looks like an older age version of Superman, which he is. And just like in the graphic novel, it was years in the future. Batman was older, and Superman, with all his powers, eventually has to age as well. And you can see some extra wrinkles and extra lines in his face to represent that aged look of Superman. But he got those thick black eyebrows. He has the beautiful blue eyes, Superman's baby blues, and the sculpt is well done. I love the flesh tone paint that they use on the head and neck. And you can see here his cape. I love how Superman's cape goes right into the top of his costume there. But going on to the back, he has a nicely sculpted cape. But I mean, after reviewing the Batman figure from this line, let me just show you guys. They're two different characters, two different styles of cape, but just look how awesome the Batman cape is versus Superman's cape. I mean, of course, Superman has a smaller cape, and it is sculpted well enough, but, just after seeing that amazing Batman cape, I mean, I could just, why wouldn't I want a little bit more? Now, if you guys are familiar with the Masters of the Universe Classics line, they are huge figures. Again, like I said, 7-inch scale figures, big, beefy muscles, buffness all around, 100%. And what I love is that this is Superman, and he should be bigger than your standard DC figure. And in this form, with this buck here, he is definitely a big boy. Now you can see here the big shoulders, the big upper torso, and then he got his huge legs. His biceps are just bulging out of there. And I love what they did with the paint applications. Look, first let's talk about the shield. This is Superman's iconic symbol, the S. And that is so clean on his chest. The yellow in the background, the red shield, the red S. It looks fantastic. Great job, Mattel, on the paint app of his shield. Now you have the dark blue paint for his chest, for his legs. And I love how they put a wash in there for us. So you can see the darkness on the side, on his shoulders, going down to the side of his arms there to really, give us that shading effect and accentuate his big muscles. Because you can see how brightly colored, or how bright the biceps look, because the inner portions are shaded, so really making those muscles pop. And I love it. You can see a little more shading there on the abdomen, and I just love this big look for Superman. And you can see the wrist here. You got the flesh tone going down on the wrist, and his wrist, it's not your typical joint for the DC figures. This is your Masters of the Universe joints, which is just a rotation. There's no hinge there. I mean, we're gonna get to articulation a little bit, so his hands do look a little funny there. But that's just the Motu buck that they're using. And then we have the nicely painted yellow belt. And you see his red belt loop. So that's all painted. Here it's a little sloppy up top. You can see some of that red plastic there. And the yellow kind of spilling over. So it's not, not the best paint job. But, if you don't pose them like this, you don't really notice it. So it's well enough. I'm enjoying it. And then you have these nicely sculpted trunks of Superman. So they're not just painted. These are actually a separate sculpt for the trunks that I put over his normal leg sculpt there. And we have the nice blue shaded legs going down to these cool looking boots of Superman, also nicely sculpted. Man, so just a great looking figure. And like I said, I'm very happy to have this Superman in my collection. Look at that. You see a nice flexible cape. So, all right, let's run down his articulation. Now, if you know the Masters of the Universe line, you know the articulation is pretty much the same. And let's go with the head. We got the 360 head rotation. His head, this one is not really tilting up any further. It's pretty much, there you go, just a little bit higher there. And he does look down. And then with the shoulders, you can see there's a hinge there, and we have a rotation as well. And this cape does not, wow, this is a very tight joint. But you can see we got a 360-degree rotation plus a hinge, which elevates his arm about that high. So watch out for flying clotheslines. And then we have a rotation at the bicep, and we have a nice hinge at the elbow. And just like I showed you guys before, rotation at the wrist. All right, now we have a nice ab crunch here. The ab goes about that far back, but it can really crunch forward, so that looks nice. And then we have a waist swivel, and we have here the hips are on a ball hinge. You can see the ball and the hinge right there, so it extends nicely to the side. Superman is very flexible. Now to the front, you can see, just like with the Batman figure, this sculpted underwear piece is kind of impeding the range of motion going forward. It's not too bad. It is a flexible plastic, but if you really want Superman to show off his martial arts skills, you have to really stretch out that plastic. But, you know, just to show you guys, it's there. Fix that up. And we have a rotation at the hip joint as well. Now we have a single jointed knee, and we do have a boot cut that goes 360 degrees rotation there, and we have a hinge at the ankles. So my left ankle here, this one is a little loose, but other than that, all the joints appear to be nice and tight. So let's pose them up. So here is Superman and Batman from the same line of the Dark Knight Returns 30th anniversary set, and they look great together. Of course, this Batman is beefier as he was in the graphic novel, and I have him holding the kryptonite arrow just in case. You never know, right? But just look great, and you know that Superman S is just killing me. It's awesome. If you guys remember, a few years ago, we had a Masters of the Universe Classics versus DC Universe Classics 2-pack, where this version of He-Man from the Masters of the Universe Classics line went up against a 6-inch standard DCUC Superman. Fast forward a few years, we got a bigger, badder Superman who is now using that Motu buck, and this looks like much more of a fair fight. What do you guys think? There you have it, guys, my video review of Superman, celebrating 30 years of The Dark Knight Returns. Awesome story arc by Frank Miller, and so happy to have this version of Superman being all big and bad, ready to take on the world in my collection. Doomsday, don't even think about it. This Superman is not to be messed with, unless you're Batman, of course. But so awesome to finally have this to display and add to the collection to match up with that black and gray Batman we got a few years back, and even the blue and gray Batman we got in this set. So it's an awesome set. Next up is Son of Batman, guys. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out, and check out my channel for previous reviews, and I got a lot more awesome fun things coming your way. But guys, leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, comment, and share. You know what to do. Peace.